Again, welcome everyone to the web conference LEAP Program Information Session. My name is Imelda Buncap, and I am the soon-to-be stepping down LEAP Program Coordinator, and you will be able to meet virtually on the phone the current stepping in LEAP Program Coordinator. So again, we are so excited for the response that we've had for folks that are interested in the LEAP program, which is the Leadership, Education, and Advancement for Professional program. And as we're just so thrilled, and we're so glad that you're here. Just a little bit before we go into the nitty-gritties of the session, just how to use this technology. If folks haven't used it before, and if you're familiar, that's awesome. There are various capabilities for you to interact with us while you're in the session. So you can raise your hand if you do have a question, so we can see that happening. And that is at the top left-hand side next to the phone number on your screen. Then you can also text chat through the private the chat box. Someone on the line, can you please mute your phone? Thank you. So if you would like to send a message, some of you already have chatted on the public chat. That's great. And then if you have a particular question for us, you can also do that conversation in the private chat section. Oftentimes, the line, if you're listening through your computer, can be a bit sketchy. So we do encourage you to call in so you have a clearer line and you'll have less of technical issues. And the PowerPoint slide deck will be available to everyone post-web conference along with a recording. So if there are pieces that you've missed, that's an opportunity again to listen to the session again. And also, LEAP team will be available to you for questions and answers. And if you have further technical difficulties, we do encourage you to call iLink for your support. So today's presenters, as I mentioned, is myself, Imelda Buncab, and we have Adrienne Spires here, who we're both training and technical assistance coordinators at Cal Costa and also work on the LEAP program. So what we're going to cover today on our session is the catalyst for the LEAP program. Why did LEAP come about? We'll also provide you an overview of the program goals, how the program is structured, and of course, many of you may be interested in is the application requirements, and then have an opportunity for folks to ask questions, and hopefully, as we address the overview, that we've answered all your questions, but we want to make that space available for all of you. So as I mentioned, LEAP is a project of Cal Costa in partnership with Women of Color Network. And this partnership wants to address the barriers, challenges, and skills gaps anti-violence against women and folks, professionals experience in the anti-violence against women field. We've had this project now for 3 years, and we will continue to have it another 2 years. And we're very excited for the incoming Cohort 4. Which we're accepting applications for currently. So just to give you a little bit of a background of the impetus for LEAP, there was a need to survey the landscape of leadership for folks that self-identify as people of color, and particularly women of color. So Women of Color Network observed that there was a trend of abrupt departures through termination, requests for resignation, targeted layoffs, or provoked leave from executive roles. They also found that few women of color and folks of color executives have few people that they can look to for mentoring, guidance, support, and networking. So the 1999 study found that there was a lack of informal networking, role models who are members of their racial ethnic group, high visibility assignments, and influential mentors were the greatest barriers to the job advancement for women of color. And so our response, and here is the project, so if you all are interested in reading that particular project, and the executive director of CalCASA, Sandra Enriquez, and then a staff member here also at CalCASA, Leah Aldridge, who works on the project, authored this study. So if you're interested, you are able to access that and take a look at it. There are some data sets that you're able to see to support some of the findings. So the goals, there are three main goals, which is to build upon and enhance the professional capacity of women of color executive directors, senior directors, and senior managers in the anti-violence against women programs. Oftentimes, folks are either step into their position with some of the skills that they are able to successfully step into and continue to be in that position, or because they're a person that has been in the organization for the longest time, they are promoted into that position, however, feel that they do not have the tools or resources to successfully be in that leadership role. Now, we also want to create a community of support and professional network for emerging women of color executives and management leaders, so that in the hopes to reduce the isolation, to maximize skills development and information sharing and communication. And lastly is we want to optimize the success and effectiveness of emerging women of color leaders by providing opportunities to impact spheres of influence and community through paying it forward.
Fourth one down. There you go.
Another reminder, please mute your phone, *6, or utilize your muting buttons on your phone. And what do we mean by pay it forward? Well, we are encouraging participants to provide leadership workshops or trainings and or opportunities to their circle of influence and communities so that they are able to share their knowledge and their skills so they can also build leaders in their own communities. So it's not only for the folks who are participating in the program that they keep the knowledge and the skills. Well, another part of the program is that participants share that skill and that knowledge so then they can lift up leaders within their circles of influence and community as well. The LEAD program structured is it's a 12-month program, and in that program, participants will receive intensive interactive coaching. They will experience distance learning throughout the 12 months, and they will also participate in in-person training. The interactive coaching is individual coaching, where fellows are assigned to a coach, a program coach, and then they will also receive intensive skills development specific coaching, where a coach who has an expertise in financial management will coach the cohort on that particular issue so they can continue to enhance and develop those skills. We also have, when fellows that are assigned to their coaches, we also have the individual one-on-one, and we also have the group like a dyad or a triad, where again that encourages the networks and connections to be able to be strengthened and also to learn from each other in terms of skill building and knowledge acquirement. In distance learning, that comprises of web conferences throughout the 12 months throughout the year. Again, the skills development coaching happens virtually through web conferences, phone calls, as well as the individual coaching and the dyad triad coaching. And then we also have e-learning units that participants can access to further their skills, to maybe have a refresh. So again, it's an opportunity to have these resources when they need it. The in-person trainings are our academies. So we have 2 academies. The first one is a 3-day academy, and then the second one is a 2-day academy. And then at the end of the program, grant program, we have what we call a National LEAP Leaders Summit, where all of the cohort fellows will convene and continue to network, continue to connect, and learn from each other. And we, as the LEAP program staff, will continue to provide skill building and leadership development workshops. So throughout the project period, program staff, speakers, and trainers will develop topics such as financial management, program development, working with boards, and personnel management, HR issues. And we know that these are critical skills, foundational skills and knowledge skills to have and to practice in a leadership position. The LEAP applicant requirements are pretty straightforward. And if you do have further questions about them, again, feel free to reach out to the LEAP staff. So first and foremost, a requirement is that the applicant self-identifies as a person of color. They're currently in an executive director, senior director, or senior manager position at an organization addressing violence against women issues for at least a year. And then currently in an executive director, senior director, or senior manager position for at least a year. Oh, sorry, that's a typo there. So at least you need to be in that position for a year. And I've had some questions from folks already. I'll hit my year by the time the program starts. Go ahead and submit your application, knowing that you'll hit your year shortly prior to the program starts, so we can take your application into consideration. And then you have experience supervising staff at an organization addressing violence against women. So you've managed volunteers, you've managed, interns, you've managed program staff within a particular program or in an organization. And shows a commitment to and a demonstrated experience and track record in the sexual assault and or domestic violence intervention and prevention field, and developing diverse agencies and programs that include women of color and individuals from underserved, underrepresented communities. So we really want to see in your application that you have worked with these communities, understand their needs, and also understand the kind of resources and support that your community needs in your leadership position. Again, as I stated earlier, the reason why is that we also, as participants of the program, want you to lift leaders in your community up, right? We want to have this ripple impact, it doesn't stop with you. We want it to continue beyond you. And most importantly, we ask that the participant fully commit to the LEAP 12-month program period and requirement. So you're thinking about this sounds great to you, and thinking about your year, what it looks like, is this something that you can fully commit to? We have 6 webinars throughout the year. You will have 2 months of intensive skills coaching. You'll have your individual coaching and your triads and dyads. You'll be on the phone. You'll be signing up to constant webinars. And so is this something that you can commit to, and plus your 2 in-persons, the first month when you start in, and then second 6 months afterwards. So we ask really for folks to think that out thoroughly, because once we accept folks into the program, it's really important for us to create a really positive learning environment and for all of the fellows to develop relationships within their cohort as well. So there are questions about scholarships, and we do provide them, although limited. So each cohort is about 20 fellows that we accept into a cohort, and within that cohort, there are a limited number of scholarships. And the scholarship covers attendance to the in-person trainings, which I mentioned is the 2 academies, and that is your travel and lodging expenses. Now, how we prioritize and assess who will receive a scholarship is that if they do not receive any funding from OVW as a grantee, and really do lack and have extremely limited other funding resources to be able to support their their attendance into the in-person training. And then once we finalize the pool, the 20 applicants, or get closer to final pool, within that 20 applicants, then we determine geographically as well as issues of where those scholarships will go. So we really do have an intensive assessment of vetting out the scholarships. So expectations and opportunities for you and for the program is that we as the program staff really expect full participation. Again, the program is as rich and as fruitful and as beneficial as participants make it. And that is on an individual as well as a group basis. So this opportunity is not solely just for individuals, but it also really fosters relationships and networks. And again, harking back to the catalyst of this program is to lessen that sense of isolation, to create opportunities of professional opportunities of growth within your networks that you develop through LEAP. We also expect participants to engage in impact projects. So as I mentioned earlier, the Pay It Forward, which is engaging through your presentations or trainings or workshops on leadership-related topics, and then to write blogs. We want to encourage, in the program, we encourage folks to create conversations rather than follow conversations, is to lead these conversations around violence against women, gender-based violence, and intersecting issues that we all face as communities of color. And then our expectation is that we do have a respectful learning community. Just because we can umbrella ourselves as a community of color doesn't necessarily mean we may all agree on everything. We all come from various life experiences, professional experiences, where we differ in age ranges. Also, so we come from a very varied tapestry of what our community of color looks like. So we expect a respectful learning community of listening, learning, and connecting. And then lastly, what are opportunities for fellows in their participation is that some of our previous fellows, which we now call LEAP leaders from cohorts 1 and 2, that they get to mentor incoming fellows. They also participate in some of our web conferences and trainings as co-presenters and experts in some of the topics that we provide. So once you complete the program, it doesn't mean that you leave us forever. We do reach out to you and to model, again, leadership in the community where we're building and developing leadership. So a bit about the timeline. Applications were opened on January 4th, last week, and we will close them February 6th. So for those that, after you leave this session, you've given yourself a green light. Yes, this sounds like something I want to do. This is, I want to apply. You have until February 6th to apply. And once we close the applications, we will review them and also conduct interviews with the applicants. And that will take place between February and March. Then after that process, we will notify the final 20 at the end of March 2017. Around there, we have it. Depending on how many applications we received, we may be closer. And then just for folks, again, that are seriously considering and applying, we wanted to provide you a save the date. So the Academy 1 for Cohort 4 will be held May 22nd through the 24th. And that essentially marks the beginning of the 12-month period. So it'll be May to May. And if you have any issues completing the application, when you go into the application, you will see a contact person's name. So please contact that, and I believe it's still me, so feel free to contact me and let me know if you have any issues completing your online application. All right. Yes, and so we did have a question about the application link. We will direct you towards the end of this session where to go, so it'll be on a website, so you'll be able to go there. Thank you, Diana. All right.
Okay, hi everyone. This is Adrienne. I will be the new program coordinator for the LEAP project. So welcome again. Okay, so I just wanted to just share about the cohorts. So I am in the front part of the LEAP Leaders Cohort 1. I am alumni of Cohort 1. I'm the one with the beige pants and the sweater, the wrap. And so I just want to share that the experience for me as being an alumni of the LEAP project was great. Having the opportunity to work with the leadership team, the trainee team, women that are in leadership positions that are making waves and very innovative in this movement. So Sandra is in the front, and she is the executive director of CalCASA. The lady in front of me is Gloria Terry. She was one of our trainers for budget and finance. And Leah's in the back. However, I just want to share that being alumni, I will highly recommend this project. Also for the skill sets that you will be able to enhance and also be introduced to. In addition to being able to meet women from different regions of the country, as well as our 4 territories. Being able to network and understanding and learning about how their organizations work, how DV and SA laws, how policies and procedures impact their work, but also impact women of color, being in this field and being in this movement. Being alumni of Cohort 1, there were 20 of us, 20 fellows. And then for Cohort 2, there were 18, and then Cohort 3, there were 18. So we are hoping to have 20 fellows for Cohort 4. I'm looking forward to everyone's application. I'm looking forward to meeting everyone that will be selected, and I am hopeful that this information is informative. And if you have questions, please do not be shy to pose them at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
So Monica asked a question. You know what, Monica, just go ahead and apply. And again, when you write your narratives in your application, just indicate that you do serve in a managerial role, okay? So these are things that we will consider as we review applications. And again, you know, in the world, sometimes we don't get the titles, but the duties that we get are managerial positions, director positions. So if you're able to express that in your application, and we're able to utilize that as we review, that would be helpful for us. Thank you. And so here is the previous cohort 2. Again, this was taken after Academy. And so each cohort has about 20 fellows. And in that current cohort, which we're in cohort 3, we have 15. And then some folks, drop out due to reasons that they can control. But we're happy with our current cohort. They're a wonderful, great group that encompasses work in the domestic violence, sexual assault field. And we also have some folks working on human trafficking, some folks who work with immigrant communities and addressing domestic violence or sexual violence within those communities. So we're really, really happy. Okay. And so that's why we're super excited for cohort 4 coming in that we really want and encourage a diverse group of folks to apply. And this may be a question that some folks may have is, can men apply? Can men of color apply? Yes. Historically, the applicants have been women. However, we do not applicants, male men who apply for the program. So we do also review those applications as well. And so the lead team that has put this program together and developed the academies and the content and the coaching, spending time in the skills development, are folks from CalCASA and Women of Color Network, Inc. So Sandra Enriquez, myself, Adrian, Leah are from CalCASA, and we have our great colleagues from Women of Color Network, Lena Juarbe and Samaya Coleman, who have served as coaches. So many of you have been asking, where's the application? I want to apply. I'm in. So to apply, we invite you to go to leapleaders.org, and you can find a link to the application on the home page. You see on your screen right now where it's under We Are the Leaders We've Been Looking For, that Apply Now orange button. Just click on that, and it'll take you to the application. Excuse me. Also, you can find the application on the About page at the bottom of that page. There is also another Apply Now button. So there are 2 places you can find that Apply Now button. And again, if you have further questions, feel free to contact us, and I'll be giving you the contact info. And we have a question from Lizbeth. Can someone apply even if currently their position does not encompass management, but in the past it did, and the plan is to do so in the future? I would unfortunately have to say no, because we are currently looking for folks that are in management position, and I don't know what the future is. So the future could be a year later, the future could be 6 months later, but we want folks entering the program that are in a management position. I hope that helps, Elizabeth. All right, so we're in our question session. Does anybody have additional questions regarding the program? And if you do, we're really excited. We launched the LEAP website today. So when you go onto that website, you will also not only see about the program, but you'll also see all of the cohort profiles. So I would encourage you to check out the LEAP Leaders tab, and that will list Cohorts 1, Cohort 2, and Cohort 3, and you can click on each profile and learn a little bit more about each LEAP Fellow and LEAP Leader. And what we want to do with this website, too, is to highlight the participants so that folks from anywhere can click on a profile knowing what the expertise of that fellow is and be able to access them for information, for resources, for guidance, for mentoring. So we want to list all of the participants to be able to be experts in the field and to highlight them and give them that exposure. Also on that website, additional opportunities of exposure is the blogs that you'll see are written mostly by the LEAP participants. So inserting ourselves in conversations, leading conversations, again, being a model of leadership for our communities when sometimes don't see ourselves reflected in the hierarchy, if you will. Are there additional questions? Okay. Yeah. Angelica, we can talk about that offline. If you're willing to give us a call, we can talk to you about that and brainstorm. Yeah, and we do understand that funding is limited for many of you, or most of you, and also the program funding is limited, and unfortunately we would love to give everyone a scholarship who participates. Unfortunately, due to our own funding stream, we really have to discern through our review process where we put the scholarships and who receives them. So, oh, okay, so I'm going to send, here's the, yeah, I am right. Here's I just sent the link to go to click onto the application. Let's see, I'm making sure I have answered questions. Market Pizza, I am the Associate Executive Program Director for my agency. On the flow chart, I am directly under the ED and I handle the day-to-day operations of the domestic violence shelter with 15 employees, community awareness, and et cetera. Would I qualify? You know what, Marquita, just apply. Just apply. Because in our requirements, we're saying, yes, we explicitly say you hold that director title, and also we explicitly say that you supervise folks. So if in your application you can show us that essentially you do day-to-day work that's a director title, but that's not your title, then again, we will take that into consideration. So we definitely listen to what is what's in the application. We also want to create space where we're not, where we say no completely to certain things. We definitely are mindful about how many of us our roles are in our organizations, and how we're recognized in our organization. So we encourage you to apply. So Diana asked, how competitive is the application and the process? Well, I believe it's pretty competitive. Because we got a wonderful response for this information session, and we're only accepting 20 folks. So we've got over 100 folks that were interested, close to 300 people. So out of that 300, we're only going to, the ones that say, assuming that everyone applies, we're only accepting 20. And that's why we encourage you to really be thoughtful in your application, when you're writing your narrative, when you're answering your questions, and feel free if at some point in the application you're not sure, what we're asking, we'll help you as best as we can. Just like, you know, with an OVW grant, you can call them for technical assistance. However, they won't tell you the answers. So we won't give you the answers, but we will help you successfully complete your application. Does that help, Diana? Yes, please use, Rose, please use that one. We just need to update that one. But that's the correct application. Okay, tell me so we'll talk to her. All right, are there additional questions? So for program questions, we encourage you, you to connect with Adrienne. So here's her email and her number. And then if you do have any questions or issues with the application, you would contact me. And as I mentioned earlier, I believe that my contact information is on there. And then I will work with you through your application. So Kathy is asking, do you know in the past any applicant was successfully received funding from OVW office for this leadership program? Yes, yes. That's why if you do have OVW funding, is to go to your program specialist and let them know that if you've been accepted as a fellow, that you'd like to use this, you know, your training funds to be able to participate in this program. And we do have a supportive program specialist for this project. And again, if you need support or advocacy, we can you know, help you on that piece too. But we have several fellows who have used their OVW funds to attend the efforts. Thank you, Bridget. We look forward to seeing your application. Diana. Wonderful. So Diana had asked her supervisor, who asked OVW, and OVW said they could do it. So we're really also very pleased and excited that OVW sees how important this project is to our communities. As we know, if we can make the case that this definitely supports our on-the-ground work, the field work that we do, if we have enhanced or improved or developed our leadership skills, then we can be better at our program development. We can be better at understanding how to manage our program funds and grants so we can successfully continue to long-term sustain our organizations and our programs, and which helps our communities altogether, right? All right. Are there additional questions, comments? So we hope that this, Myra, can a state government employee state government employee in the field as DVSA apply? Sure. Sure. I mean, if you're working in the anti-violence against women field, that's our only requirement. We didn't say, you know, it's a non-governmental organization or a public or private organization. Again, just as long as if you see those requirements and you can say yes to them, then go ahead and apply. And again, we'll review your application and take all of what the information you provide us into consideration as we determine the fellows. So Felicia, your work anniversary is in June? For a year? If it's at least a year, go ahead and apply. Yes, we will also provide, if you need the application and a PDF, we'll send it to you. So please indicate that. All right. Any other questions, comments? We actually thought we'd take a lot longer. But again, if you go to the LEAP website, some of this information that we provided to you today is on there in the About page. And then again, you are most welcome to contact us with additional questions or clarifications that you need regarding this process. So you have until February 6th, to think about it, to learn more about it, and to submit your application. All right. Well, thank you again for attending this information webinar. We're so excited for your interest, and we're so excited you want to join us in developing leaders in our communities and you being the leader that you're looking for. And really engaging our communities so that we can continue to have our voices, our needs, and our issues heard. So please, again, reach out to us, and we thank you for your interest, and we look forward to seeing your application. I will leave the chat on for another 15 minutes if you'd like. You can, if you have additional questions, I'll leave it on there, and then at noon, I will shut it down, and then you can call us if you need to. Thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic day and afternoon. And again, thank you so much. We're so thrilled that you joined us.